Ideals like peace, freedom, and justice, they get packed up, but we can all go home. Well, I'm not going home. I'm gonna get on my boat, and I'm going upriver, and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch Bison's ass so hard that the next Bison wannabe is gonna feel it. Now, who wants to go home? And who wants to go with me?
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers podcast, episode 321. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Rated G for Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Rotino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, man? Wait, I'm going to tell you. If you're looking at the video, Spider-Man mug has made his triumphant return.
Did it ever leave?
It did leave. I haven't had it in a while.
I don't think it ever left. Spider-Man's always here, even when he's not here. He's your friendly neighborhood coffee cup.
He's been, who said it was coffee in here? It's always a mystery of what's in Spider-Man.
I don't know. I mean, hey.
It's always a mystery.
Hey, I've never been against day drinking, but I'm going to assume it's coffee. I love it.
Yeah, man, it really is coffee.
You know,
it
is
coffee,
of course.
It is.
It's you got one of those tall mugs too, right? So you can put a good amount of coffee in there and put a good amount of creamer in there and not have to worry about it, right?
Yep. I like the wider mugs.
Sure.
So sometimes, I mean, in some episodes, you've seen me with my Cancun mug, which is more wider, but this is a little bit longer. Yeah,
sure.
Thanks to Universal Studios, not sponsoring the show. Should though.
There you go. So it's not the shape; it's the size that I care about. But the shape is good. I like a nice. You can kind of wrap your hands around a big mug.
Is that what you use in your everyday life? Is not the shape; it's the size.
No comment. Because my only problem is I got some cups from my parents, some like old school cups, right? A lot of them.
Oh, we still talking about cups?
Yeah, we're still talking about cups. A lot of them are still, a lot of them are Christmas themed, which is a little weird, but whatever. But they're just too small. I have a Keurig, right? I pop in a Keurig thing, got to pop in a bunch of water, a to the line amount of water. And there's like no room for any of the cream in there, so I have to modulate. It's terrible. So I like the big mug. You don't have to worry.
That should be the name of the episode. Not about the shape, size.
It's not about the shape. It's the size. Listen, Dan. If you want to take it there, go ahead. I am trying to keep this a G-rated show. I'm trying to live up to our name. Rated G. On a game related note, though, I do have some fun. Info from my little condo block or whatever. My neighbor texted me. I was working on some stuff for the show last night and playing some games and whatever on my computer. And my neighbor texted me. He said, "Hey, if you're still up, look outside." And I'm like, "Okay." So like legit right here. So I turn over, I open up the window, and he's got a big ass projector outside playing Fortnite on the PlayStation, I think. I was like,
nice.
Oh shoot. And I was like shouting down to him like, "Hey, oh, that's awesome." So he was out there for a little bit.
So that entire story, the thing that I'm most shocked at is as a grown man playing Fortnite. You sure it wasn't his kids playing Fortnite?
He has no kids. Fortnite? He has no kids.
Oh, okay. All right. No. So I think that's the thing. I think that's the thing that's more surprising and shocking.
Listen, Ninja's number one at Fortnite, and he's like our age, so.
Yeah, I figured
it was
Ninja and everybody that's under the age of 16.
Listen, pretty soon, the kids you're making fun of who play Fortnite are going to be parents. Like, real soon. Fortnite's been around for, like, almost 10 years. It's been around for a while.
Whoa.
It's been around since, like, 2014,
you're calling them,
2015.
You're saying they're going to be parents? What is this, teenage mom? Come on.
Those kids are a lot older than you think. I mean, young kids are still playing it. It's still, like, the hotness, like that in Minecraft. They have some cachet. But something new is going to come in, and everyone's going to be about, like, I don't know, like Bozo Blocks or whatever it is, and that's going to be the new hotness.
Well, you couldn't think of a better name. Hey, remember when it used to be Fortnite versus PUBG, right?
Oh my God! Yeah, PUBG. Who's talking about that anymore?
Who will win? I haven't heard anything about PUBG.
No, I mean it's still
PUBG
going.
It still exists. Does it still exist?
Yeah. But it's like also rans to Fortnite. Fortnite came in and took it over.
Got it. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's get the show on the road. We have an awesome show this coming up. We're going to talk about everything announced at the Final Fantasy VII anniversary. Right? They sort of had like a little anniversary stream, and then we're going to get into our half game of the year, which is always exciting. You know, I may have my game of the year already. I don't even need the rest.
Oh,
of the year. I may
making early predictions. Love it. Let's see if they hold up come December, or I guess January. We do it right beginning of the next year.
Well, as a side note, before I continue, do they ever hold up? Do they ever? I mean, other than God of War and Uncharted 4
and Death Stranding. Right? Death Stranding was an early release that year. Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Was it? Oh, okay. All right. Well, we got 3 games.
So 3. There you go. Okay. 3 out of the 6 years I think we've been doing Game of the Year. So that's pretty good. So that's 50%.
So I guess they do hold up. All right.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? We can get back on track. No more side notes. All right. Before we get into any of that stuff, then let's begin the show with a little rest in peace. Say a little prayer, or pray. Do whatever you need to do. Whatever you believe in. Let's just say, goodbye to Internet Explorer. It is officially dead.
Oh.
I had fond memories of you back in the 90s when I had my gateway computers back in the day. I feel fond memories of Internet Explorer and pirating lots of stuff.
Sure.
Online, like music and porn. Thanks, Dave.
So, hey. Well, there goes the G-rated status of this episode. Dan obviously not a developer, because anyone who's worked with Internet Explorer in a web development environment will know how terrible an experience Internet Explorer was. Now, I'm with you. I do have memories of like logging on to AOL and then loading up Internet Explorer 3 and 4 and doing all the same stuff that you did. Right? It was like, oh my God, this is like new. And it when it was like them and Netscape were like the big battle. It was like Sega and Nintendo going like neck and neck, and Internet Explorer won. Microsoft won the war, and they became like the de facto browser. But they also did some dumb shit, because there's standards. There's a consortium called W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium, and they kind of put out documents and guidelines and whatever. Here's some new features and specs that web browsers should adopt. This version of HTML or whatever is going to support these things, and they should work in this fashion. Microsoft says, nah, we're going to do it our own way. So the way they render things, like ActiveX, which was terrible. It was a vector for a bunch of viruses. Oh God, a lot of things not so great. So I'm with you for like the first couple of years until like the early 2000s when like Internet Explorer 5 and 6, probably the most notorious one to come out. Has long-standing trauma in my heart, Dan.
Okay. Well, I don't know anything about that. I just know I'm going to miss the big E.
Are you, though?
Big E.
We have so much better. We have Safari, Firefox, and Chrome.
I just
like
have
the
fond
big
memory.
3.
I'm just saying, growing up,
Sure.
Back in the day, the 90s, the big E that's always there. You know what it is?
Sure.
It's the thing that was always there that you never used.
Well, yeah, I eventually couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah, there you go. So it's like the big E that's always at the bottom of your screen or your computer, right? That I never use because I always use Firefox or Safari if I'm on my Mac.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but that E is it's not gonna be there anymore. Right? Yeah. It's sad. I'm sorry.
You could get you could still download it and install it. It's just not going to be included in new.
Well, they're not going to update
it.
They're not going to update it in it. I mean, it's like using Netflix. It's like using Netflix on the Wii or the Wii U.
Well, update. I mean, it's still going to work for a while. And now they have Edge. Microsoft has a new browser, Edge, which is the one. So that's the new Microsoft branded one, which is actually really good. Edge is good, and it also auto updates. So there's no here's a new update for it. It just does it. So
I know they're on the Edge, but it's no Explorer. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I get it.
We still have the
nostalgia strong. The nostalgia strong.
Yeah. All right. So last week we finished sort of our E3 coverage or E3 style coverage. E3 will be back officially next year, right? Hopefully it's back the same way, right? In person, things calm down even more, 2023, and we'll probably have like 4 or 5 shows covering everything like we normally did. I think the last time we did that was like 2019. All right. I think the most divisive game from last week I'm shocked with Starfield. Right? Like I thought Starfield would be like the darling game. I thought like right now we're going to talk about how great Starfield's going to be, right?
Yep.
Or at least I'm still thinking Starfield's going to be great, and everyone else is talking about all the nitpicking, all the issues, the frame rate drops.
You gotta have fair criticism, and I think it's fair criticism. I think it's going to be great when it comes out, but
I'm more surprised that you criticized it more than I thought you would. I thought you'd be a little bit more on board. I mean, look at me. It's a Bethesda Microsoft game, and I'm more hyped about it than you.
No, I'm optimistic for it, but they need to fix those issues. Otherwise, it's going to be a less than stellar time. That's all.
I look at it this way. Bethesda is mainly known for great storytelling. In my view, right? For me. And I think they're going to have a great story to go along with this, which is something that they didn't really show. Right? Like, I think the criticism of the frame rate, the people's faces, people said look like PS2 faces, right? The expressions on everybody's
they'll
face
work that out. Yeah,
I don't think they're going to work any of that out. I think that's just, honestly, I think that's like Bethesda charm, a la all the Fallout games. But...
yeah, all right.
But I will say this. Todd Howard did say to complete the main story mission, it will take you, of the game, the campaign, it'll take you 30 to 40 hours, depending on if you want to do, the side quest. 30 to 40 hours.
Sure.
In retrospect, The Last of Us Part 2 took about 26 hours, and that was long, right? I thought Last of Us Part 2 was like really long.
Sure. Oh, it was, especially for like a third-person shooter. Yeah, usually they're like 8 to 10, maybe like a little bit more.
About 15.
Yeah.
This is going to be 30 to 40 hours with 20,000 lines of dialogue.
Sure.
Except for you, because you as a protagonist,
silent protagonist,
no dialogue.
So, well, that's every Bethesda game is that way. Fallout, silent protagonist. Skyrim, all the Elder Scrolls games, silent protagonist.
I guess I want to say this brings to my sort of excitement for it, my anticipation for it, right? Like you have over 1,000 planets that you can explore. Yes, we know probably more than half of those planets will be just a different color or a different skin of a beast from the planets that you've already, mined already, right? Like, yeah. I got that. I get that. But if you stick to the main quest, right, you have 30 to 40 hours worth of story in it. And I think in Bethesda, I believe, story-wise, I think this is going to be a really entertaining game. It may surprise you.
Sure. Again, I am optimistic, not even cautiously optimistic. I am optimistic for this. But just calling what I saw in the presentation.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, I'm hype. I'm hype. It could be Game of the Year 2023 because it is coming out early next year. So
well, there you go. Well, you know what? That just debunks my point from earlier. It's coming out early in 2023, right? It could be our half Game of the Year next year.
That's right.
This time.
That's right. Triple A title.
All right, Dave. As we always try to start the show but epically fail, what have you been playing?
Whoa. So we couched it last week. So
we had a lot of stuff. So okay, you know what? Wait. Let me redo. Dave, as we always try to start the show, what have you been playing for the last?
There we go. So if you remember, and they showed this game ages ago, but if you remember in one of the presentations, they had Metal Hellsinger, which is a rhythm first-person shooter, I believe.
Which is why I didn't care.
Would be the appropriate genre. Well, the whole conceit of the game is that you have to time your actions or your shots basically to the beat, and if you don't, you can't shoot. So if you mash on the button, it's not going to work. You time it to the beat. You'll get hits. You'll up your score counter and your multiplier. It's pretty cool. It's got vibes of the new Doom, and it's got an amazing metal soundtrack. If you're into metal music at all, it's got some really good bands in there, and Rez and Tetris Effect and those style games. The better you do and the more your bonus goes up, the more of the song plays. So when you're down on health, it's real muted, all right? And then when you get your health back, then the drums kick in and the guitars kick in. When you get to max multiplier, when you get to times 16, then the vocals kick in the song, and it's good. It's good. So you can play. The demo right now is one area. You go all the way to the boss, and you do the boss battle. I can't beat the boss, but I can make it to him consistently, which is good. Super fun. Definitely going to pick this game up. Hopefully there's a physical. I don't know, but very, very excited for it. I forget the team that put it together. I should know the developers, but it's pretty solid for what it is. Also, very, very, very controversial. I have been playing the Diablo Immortal on my cell phone because
that's the controversial part, because I can't believe you're playing a mobile game.
Well, as we all know, when Blizzard came up on stage a couple years ago and said, y'all have cell phones, right? Because everyone was like, where's Diablo 4? And it's like, no, we have this game. So there's the mobile version and there's a PC version. Funny enough, PC version not optimized. Doesn't have all the features that it should. But considering they built this mobile first, I want to play it on that device to get the real experience, to see if Diablo works on mobile. It surprisingly does. They managed to cram all that stuff in there, and you got your actions on the right in a little wheel, right? It's got the center button and then the 4 actions you can slot in there. I think there's 6 different classes you can play as. Now, what I will say is that the game plays well. It looks good. It's optimized. I mean, granted, I have a Pixel 5, which is a pretty powerful phone, but didn't notice any issues with it. It looks good, runs well, sound is good, voice acting is top notch. So the presentation isn't really the issue. The issue is you level up way too fast. They want to get you to the level cap, because once you get to the level cap, then you have to start collecting gems and upgrading your equipment, which you'll hit the wall and you'll have to pay or grind it out. And that's where the fun stops, because the grinding is way too much. That's the problem. You can say, oh, you don't have to pay, but you're just doing the same monotonous stuff over and over again. So the content really isn't there at the late game. I'm already at level 15, 16. I only put a few hours in. That would normally be 2 to 3 days in regular Diablo, right? If I were to play Diablo 2 Resurrection, or Diablo 3, Reaper of Souls, it'd take you a few days to get there, right? It'd take you a little while. So you level up like super quick. They pared down all of the stats. So when you like pick up a weapon or a piece of armor, you look at the one big number, and if this big number is bigger than this number, you swap it out, and then you just junk the other armor, because they want to make it real streamlined. They want to make one big number, and you got to make that big number go up. So I'm going to play it to the cap and see how it is, but not so great. Not so great.
Okay. How long did it take you to get where you are now? How long have you played this game?
Like a couple hours. Yeah. Took me a light sitting on the couch to get to level 15.
Wow. Okay.
And it wasn't hard.
That's a lot. Yeah. That's a lot.
Yeah. Right. The game wasn't hard. It was very, like, the curve was like flat. But anyway, I've also been playing the Scott Pilgrim game. Got back into that, the beat 'em up one. It's great. It's great. And it's it's funny, I guess, kind of in preparation, because they have some of the same team who worked on both, or produced some of the same stuff. Also been playing TMNT Shredder's Revenge, because it is out now on Games Pass. So
it is. Well, we knew I pre-ordered my physical.
Yep, same.
For the Switch with limited run. All right. But I didn't think that it was actually coming out like last week. Yeah. Well, they said it in the conference. It's going to be on Game Pass day one, which is awesome. So we don't have to wait. And it's good. It's good. I don't know if you played it yet, but no. All right. Well, I mean, I've been playing it too. I mean, I guess we can talk about it in tandem.
Okay.
I think it's great. I still don't understand the story mode versus the arcade mode too much, because I played both. I mean, I beat like four bosses when I played story mode first.
Right.
I lost. And,
yep.
I just didn't feel like doing that grind for that level over again. Right.
So
I put it down. And when I picked it up, I said, yeah, you know what? Let me go through arcade mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I just breezed through it. Like back to the same boss that I lost, that I just, sort of paused it and left it on pause, and I'll come back to it later.
Sure.
So I feel like arcade mode was easier than story mode.
Well, the game's not that difficult, but the difficulty levels between the two modes, well, the enemy difficulty and the amount of enemies and all that, like there's like easy, medium, hard difficulty that you can choose for both modes. So it should be the same. The difference is, in arcade mode, you always start back at level 1. There is no progression that's saved. So story mode, if you die at level 3, you can go back and play any of the other levels. And it's got an overworld map, which arcade mode doesn't. Arcade mode is literally like you go to the arcade, pump in a quarter, and play until you die. So you have a limited set of lives and all that. It's like traditional style mode, and it's harder, right? Because you don't get any progression save and all that. But like story mode, there's like unlockables, and you can find like hidden characters and all this other stuff. It's amazing. I've beaten it one time through. I unlocked my boy Casey Jones. He is the hidden 7th character. And I suspect.
Ooh, I didn't know he was a hidden character. I thought he would be like DLC later on. I didn't know you can unlock him. Okay, that's cool.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, he's in there. Spoilers.
Now I have motivation to go beat it. Okay.
Right. And
I didn't have motivation to beat it before.
It's not too hard. It's not too hard to get to the end. It's got a good level of challenge, and it's got a good level of variety. Bosses are more or less who you expect. You got your Bebop and Rocksteady. You got, the battle in the big machine, like riding on the hoverboards. You got the Rat King. There's one or two deep cuts who I didn't know. I'll say that. I'll leave it at that. I don't necessarily want to spoil anything, but
I probably knew, because I was a huge Turtle fan, big Turtle fan.
Yeah.
I knew all the like obscure enemies and stuff like that. Like I watched every episode of the cartoon. Like I was all into Ninja Turtles. I didn't have the comic book though. I wasn't in the comic book. I was, because the comic book came out like in '85, right?
Mid '80s,
or '86. Yeah. I was too young at that point, because when the comic book came out, I was probably like 4.
Sure.
So, you know,
Sure.
the cartoon introduced me, and the games introduced me to Ninja Turtles.
Do you know in the comics, and the comics were only, the original comic was only a 10-run set, I think, or 12-run set.
Okay.
In the first comic, they kill Shredder. He's dead.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think they knock him off a building or whatever, and he's like legit
just like
dead.
the movie.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's like interesting. Like it wasn't meant to be this kind of long running thing or whatever. But then, you know, once you get a new medium out, you're like, you can bring Shredder, you can bring anybody back, you know, bring Shredder, make all these.
He's not really dead.
Yeah, right.
Just like in the soap operas, right? Like, no, listen, we had a funeral, we buried you, but you aren't really dead.
Yeah, right. Came back from the grave. How?
Okay,
it's his
for 10 years.
It's his twin brother, Shredded Cheese.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. It is. Everything about that game is amazing.
So,
yeah.
All right. So I've been playing again. I've been playing Shredder's Revenge. Played on an Xbox Series S because that's what's in my living room, and I didn't feel like swapping out my Series X, which is like in the basement in the game room. So I've been playing it on the S.
Same experience. I mean, it's not a super powerful game.
I upgraded my PlayStation Plus to PlayStation Plus Premium Edition.
Of course.
It was only $38 extra. Funny enough, because they tell you it's like, hey, you for $38 extra for the rest of the year, you can have Premium or you can have Essential for like $28, or it was like $10 cheaper.
Sure.
Right. So
is that a limited time offer, or is it always $38 over what you were paying before?
No. From right now, if you prorate, like you paid, you know.
Oh, I see.
$70
from now until the end of the year. Okay.
Yeah. So I think February 2nd is when I have to re-up and pay the $119. So, you know, for all of 2023.
Okay.
Right. So it's whatever was left over because I paid already the $70, $69.99 for the for the year. And it's like, all right, well, you know, you're only 4 months into it. You owe another $38, and we give you Essential.
Right.
You know, so I haven't really gotten into it. I haven't played anything yet. I just did that like last night. So, you know, next show I'll you know, hopefully I'll get into playing some old school games. They're still sort of putting out retro games. All the 4, 6, 7, 800 games aren't there yet. I guess they're going to be announcements.
It's going to take time.
You know, every month. Yeah. So
now I heard they
got some good stuff.
I don't think we necessarily mentioned it on the show, but I heard that they're putting in NTSC versions of these games because they were found out to be PAL versions.
Some of them, there was some. I saw some YouTubers saying they were about 60 hertz. Like they were not every game is the version.
Well, I think they ended up fixing it. I thought that they were all PAL versions or whatever, because it's maybe has more language options. I think may have been their thing, right? Because it's like for all of Europe or whatever, right? Is running on PAL more or less. So, I mean, it's good they're doing that. You know, they kind of got ahead of it and put out the appropriate version for North America. So, it's good stuff.
But on my PS5, I've been playing the Corey, which is
brand new game.
So surprising the people who made Until Dawn, right? Which is a PS4 exclusive, and I loved it when it came out. You know, the Corey really should have. They really should have kept this for like October because it is like
it's a scary game, right?
It's kind of a spooky game.
Okay,
right? It's all Telltale game meets spooky, right? Like
so it's like a choose your own adventure kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you can move around and explore. There's obviously totally linear. It's limited options where you could go, and if it's anything like Until Dawn, there's an option where all the characters die, right, and you never get the ending or you get the twist. And there's an option where you can save. The decisions you make can save every character. So it's this weird premise. I think I'm not gonna lie, just from the previews and what I've played, I've only played through chapter the prelogue in chapter 1, so I haven't got too much into this game. But it's like Texas Chainsaw Massacre meets camp.
Chainsaws them out. I'm out of chainsaws.
No chainsaws. No chainsaws. I'm saying like a weird family.
Oh, okay.
The weird family, except for it's like you take the family in Texas Chainsaw and put them in Friday the 13th in summer camp. Because it's about summer camp counselors.
Okay.
In the woods in upstate New York. They're in New York.
Hey, very close to home.
Yeah, very, very close to home. So this game has surprised me, and I'm not gonna lie. The more I play of it, the more I like it more. So we'll see when it comes. I don't know if it made my half game of the year list because I just started, so I don't know if I can put it on. I haven't put that much time into it, but maybe it can make my game of the year.
It was a brand new franchise too. Look at that, brand new franchise may make the list.
And lastly, I've been playing Assassin's Creed 3 on the Switch just because I was too lazy and I didn't feel like turning the TV on. Well, I was watching the NBA Finals and I didn't feel like switching out and doing any switching out from the finals and playing PS4 or PS5 or the Xbox. Right, and I was like, I'll throw some Assassin's Creed on while I watched it.
Nice.
And surprisingly, I'm really into that game. I'm really into Assassin's Creed 3. So it's actually pretty good. I don't think it's as bad as everyone said it was.
Okay.
I know,
because that's like it's like the redheaded stepchild of the series.
I know, and it's Assassin's Creed 1 came out, wasn't great, but people, it was like the new franchise because it wasn't Prince of Persia. It was supposed to be Prince of Persia.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed 2 came out, people loved it. 3 came out, people were down on it, and 4 is now like the darling, just like Resident Evil. 4 is like the best in a franchise, considered best in a franchise. And I like 3. I thought I'm really liking 3. I don't see what the issue is. I haven't seen any reviews. I don't know what people's issues are with it, and maybe when I get more into it or I beat it, I'll go back and see why people didn't like it so much.
This is also like the remastered version, so as well as like graphical bumps and all that, they fixed a bunch.
Yeah, but it's on the Switch, so how much bump can we get? I mean,
it's not really the graphical thing, but like they did fix a lot of bugs and smooth things out a little bit, so it's a better experience from what I hear.
All right, so why don't we take a break? We'll come back. We're getting to the top gaming news of last week. And we're back. All right, let's get into the top video game news of last week. And we have to start with Final Fantasy VII 25th anniversary celebration.
Yep. Right? I love it.
The only Final Fantasy game I've ever cared about in my life, in my entire life.
And 15. You like 15.
I like 15.
Yeah.
But 7 is it. Okay? That's the game.
That's what everybody says. 6 is really the correct answer, but it's fine. People can be wrong.
Yeah, no, it's 7. Trust me, it's 7. I know.
You haven't even played 6. You've only played 7 and 15. You can't make that claim.
You know what? I don't need to play it. I don't need to play it. I know it's the best.
The game is that good that you're like, nah.
It's that good. It's that good. And the remake is just as good. It's just that good too. Final Fantasy VII Remake is the only Final Fantasy game I've ever beaten. There you go.
Well,
that tells you right there.
Yeah, I suppose you've beaten it. Because that's
I've beaten part 1.
Part 1. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
You've essentially gotten through like 1/3 of the game. Because it's about the length of disc 1, maybe a little bit less, depending.
Well, there you go. It's the only Final Fantasy game I've ever really owned too. Before 15, 7 is the only game I ever owned.
Oh, I'm looking at that back wall right now. You definitely, maybe like back in the day.
This is the only game I ever owned.
You have a ton of Final Fantasy games back there.
That's actually not true. You would think Final Fantasy is it's probably one of the only big franchises I don't have every game in the series.
Well, no, because there's way too many. If you talk about mainline, there's a minimum of,
There's a minimum of 15. 15.
13, unless you want to count the two MMOs, which then have a bunch of expansions and then have compilations of all those.
But those don't have physicals. 14
they do.
Physical.
They do.
14 is a physical?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me?
All right.
14, all of their stuff is physical. And they, like, every time a new expansion comes out, they'll make a compilation that's, like, everything so far. So you got to get those, too. Ugh.
So I can tell you off the top of my head, I know I have the first Final Fantasy because I made a big deal about it when I bought it to you. I was like, oh, look, I bought it. I finally have it. I have the first one, right? I used my Lucky points to get it.
I bought that. I bought that during the 2016 election because I was stressing out, and I needed something to keep my mind off of the.
You bought it in box too. You bought it complete.
Oh, I bought it complete, baby. Yeah, it's got everything. Got all the maps and everything in it. It's in great condition. I'm very happy I have it. Not happy with the outcome of the 2016 election, but that's for another day.
Yeah, it's for another day.
Yeah. We're not a politics show.
But I have the first one. I have 6. I have 7.
6 is awesome. 6 or 3? You have the Japanese or the English?
The English. I have the English.
Okay, then you have 3. Yeah.
Okay, 3. Wait, so is 7 really 7 or 7 4?
7 is really 7. Yeah.
Okay.
When they decided to bring parity to the Force, it confused a lot of people because people didn't realize that by the time 2 came out in America, that was already 4. Because they skipped a couple because they were like, we don't know about this RPG thing in North America. Which is why they made Final Fantasy Mystic Quest, which was like baby's first RPG. And real hardcore RPG fans are like, what is this bullshit? It actually turned off more fans because they wanted the more robust experience. The Japanese market just didn't know that about North America, even though Dungeons and Dragons and everything came out here in like the late 70s, and everyone was all about the stats and the numbers and the whatever and like the monsters and the lore. But they eventually figured it out, and now we get
So I have the first one. I have 6, 7, 8, and 15.
You probably have 10 and 10 too. I can almost guarantee you have 10 and 10 too.
I probably have 10 too. I don't have 10.
Okay, because those sold extremely well, and they always come in lots. They're just around. You can always find
I think I have 10 too for the Vita.
Right, because they did do the remaster. Yeah, PS3, and I guess on the other Vita too. Yeah. Yeah,
but to me that's like sort of the compilation. I'm talking about like the mainline one, like 10. I don't have 10.
Well, technically, you don't have the original version of it. Maybe.
I don't have the original. That's the only thing that matters in my view.
You have to fix that, Dan. You have to get it. It's only like $5.
No.
Or less than $5. You buy it in a bundle.
Yeah, no, I think I'm good.
Jesus,
but
this guy.
the one that I do care about is 7.
Yeah, Barbie's
I cared about it back.
You don't have.
I cared about it back in the day, and I still care about it to this day. Mm-hmm. It is one of the 2 turn-based RPGs that I ever cared about besides Super Mario RPG.
Also made by Square.
Final Fantasy VII. Mm-hmm. And this was a big celebration. Didn't know it was 25 years. I feel old, right? 25 years since it's been out, since its original release on the original PlayStation.
Yeah. That came out when you were 0, right? You just had your 25th birthday, so you were born in 1997.
There you go. I wasn't born yet. There you go. Right? You're right. It was there you go. It wasn't born yet, and I still got it. I still got it.
Remembers opening up a Nintendo in the 80s, but yet
no, I never said it was in the
80s.
I never said it was in the 80s. I just
I don't know. You must have been real upset when everybody else had PlayStations and you had a Nintendo.
Well, I was so young. I was so young. I didn't know the difference.
Ha.
And you know what? It was gray, just like the PlayStation. So who knows?
Oh my God!
Who could tell the difference? I can tell the difference.
Right. So we got some Final Fantasy news. They did the celebration, right?
No, they did celebration, but they a lot of mobile stuff. I'm not gonna lie. Final Fantasy VII, the First Soldier. When I first saw it, I thought this was gonna be like a side game that they're gonna put out that was gonna come out like the Games Pass or something like that. Didn't realize it was a mobile game. Didn't realize it was season 3. They had 2 other seasons.
Yep.
To this.
Yep.
So No, not really. Wasn't really into it. I feel duped, but
well, I mean,
cool.
they're
I'm not
all
gonna play it on my phone.
they're all spin-offs of the main game, and they've done a lot. They did in the beginning of the presentation. They had all of the Final Fantasy VII games, the Dirge of Cerberus and the original Crisis Core, and a couple other ones, and they've done a lot in the Final Fantasy VII universe, which is cool. But yeah, it's a little bit different. It's probably going to have some gacha mechanics in there, of course. They got to make their money on the DLC or the microtransactions. But I'm definitely going to download it and play it for sure.
All right, and then
I'm a little late to the party, but
definitely not going to download this mobile game. And then they had a lot of physical they had like a lot of merchandise, statues and stuff. But the one thing that caught my eye, and T-shirts. But the one thing that caught my eye was Final Fantasy VII Remake Digital Clock, the Buster Sword.
Yep. It's got the little materia in there that changes color, which is a nice touch.
So they have the long so it looked kind of cool. 7-year-old me would have loved it. I'm not going to buy that now, but I just wanted to put that out there that it kind of looks cool. Dave, do not buy this for as my Christmas gift. I won't use it.
Trust me, I'm not gonna, because it's like $300. It's a lot of money.
Is that much?
Oh, you kidding me?
Yeah. Okay, then you know what? You can buy. All right, then you can buy it for my Christmas, and I'll take it.
I'm still not gonna buy it for you.
No, yeah.
This guy's a fair weather Final Fantasy fan. I'm not gonna get you that. I'm not even gonna buy it because it's so much money. It would be a nice to have, but it's too much. It's too much.
All right. Now we got a remake. Well, not a remake. We got sort of a remake of Crisis Core, PSP game, right? Final Fantasy VII. They're calling it Final Fantasy VII Reunion. I can't keep up all these sub names. So
welcome to the world of Final Fantasy.
So that's what everybody's been wanting, right? Everybody's been talking about that. It was that, and what was the Final Fantasy VII game that came out on PS2?
Dirge of Cerberus. That was the one where you played as Vincent Valentine. It was the third-person shooter. Pretty good. Not amazing.
And then, all right, then we got Final Fantasy VII Remake Integrate now on Steam, right? Like, I honestly thought they were going to announce Final Fantasy VII Remake coming out on Xbox. Like, I thought that's what one of the big announcements was gonna
be. Right, because it's
like, it's already on PC. It's already on PC, and now Integrate's on PC.
Right. And it was never exclusive to PlayStation. It was always a limited time exclusivity. Not to say that they were going to put it on Xbox
that we know of. Well, that we know of. There are a lot of rumors and speculations. No one actually knows for sure what the deal is with the PlayStation as far as 7 Remake. But Crisis Core Reunion is coming out. It looks like it's coming out on Xbox and the Switch, which is kind of cool. Yeah. Still not Stadia. Stadia's dead.
Stadia's been dead. It's a corpse that just keeps getting reanimated.
Stadia is like Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
But that wasn't the big news. The big news of the night is everything that we were waiting for. We want to know when Part 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is coming out. And we got a little bit more than that I thought we would hear. We know Part 2 is called Rebirth.
Yep.
Not called Part 2. It's called Rebirth, which kind of weird that The Last of Us was just The Last of Us, and then The Last of Us Part 2, and then they had to go back and rebrand it The Last of Us Part 1 for the remake. And now we have Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 1, and the second one isn't called Part 2, it's called Rebirth. So it's kind of confusing. Why didn't you just call it Part 2 Rebirth?
Because that's not how they do it, Dan. That's not how they do it. They like to confuse you.
Totally confusing. But we know that's coming out at the end of 2023. And we know there's going to be 3 parts. So there's a third part in the works.
Yeah.
There's going to be third. So it's going to be Final Fantasy, 7 Remake Part 1, Part 2, and Part 3 to conclude the original series, the original game from 25 years ago. But if the second one's coming out in 2023, I got to believe that the third one's going to probably come out for 2025.
Yep. Yep. We could very well be dead by the time part 3 comes out.
Well, you know what? PlayStation 6 could come out.
I know.
PlayStation 6 would be out.
The surprising thing to me is that Rebirth Part 2 is coming out 2023. I was going to bet money coming out this holiday. November, early December.
And I would have took that bet because I said there's no way in hell it's coming out this year. No way.
Right, but the engine is done. They're just creating, technically, it's like a big DLC pack, right? Now I know they got to render and build the new monsters, the new boss battles, whatever else, tweak the game mechanics and whatever else, but a lot of the hard work is done already, right? They have the engine, right? They like did all that. They have 6 of the main characters, right? Already done with their movesets and everything else, like 7 main characters, I guess, if you include Sephiroth. So a lot of that's done already. Not to say that it's not hard work, but it's not like they weren't doing it. Not like they were doing it from scratch, you know. And the last one came out 2020, right?
Came out in 2020.
Like yeah,
came out in 2020. But I think you're forgetting one important thing, called the zombie apocalypse, my friend. And this is a Japanese company, and we've talked about it on the show. In Japan, they're not really equipped to work remotely. Nothing happened.
Well,
nothing major happened within a year. I don't think
when
a lot of people
down. I think a lot of people were equipped to work remotely.
I was. I actually, our business didn't take a hit at all. We kept the company.
There you go. See, you got good infrastructure. And yeah, I get that.
For a year, at least a year, they did nothing substantial, nothing major. I guarantee it, because Japan got shut down early, came back, and then shut down again. They shut down like 3 times.
Sure.
From not mistaken. And I don't think they got anything. I think everything you have to sort of take a year away, right? Like, yeah. If there was no zombie apocalypse, it would be coming out a year earlier because they would have had a year worth of work done already. So they're doing more catch up than anything. If you that's like definitely true. And the Japanese work culture is they want everybody in the office to be together, and there's a certain sense of camaraderie. Not that here in the U.S. they don't want that. They do. I think they want it for different reasons, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I would have thought, hey, because as soon as they get the first one out, you're already working, or they've been working on the other content too, and trying to get all that stuff together. They're working in tandem. They're working in tandem, right? Yeah, because I mean, it's like the original game was 3 discs. It was a huge epic adventure. It came out at once on the PlayStation 1, and then eventually on the PC. And they built that in a couple years. Maybe like 3 years to put all that together. And I know they've been working on this since way back when, since last decade. It was announced in 2015, right? Which means they've been working on it for a couple years previous. But then we heard that they had to redo everything that they did that we saw in 2015 because of the visuals, right? Because it looks totally different than it did in that original trailer that we saw back in 2015. Well, it started off as a PS3 tech demo. So that like opening scene when Cloud's on the train, right? And he like jumps off and he's kind of running around or whatever. Like that was a PS3 tech demo way back when from like Squaresoft. And everyone's like, oh my God, Remake's coming, right? And then it took them a couple years to be like, no, Remake's actually coming now. It took like 10 years. Yeah, it's got some roots. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, I'm excited. I definitely want to play Crisis Core. I did go back to the PSP game. I just didn't have that magic for me, right? Again, it's turn-based. I'm not really into those turn-based games, but this looks like it's more of an action game, not a turn-based game. So I definitely will pick this up and play it. We'll see when this actually comes out. But at least you get to play it on it. Honestly, if it comes out on Xbox and comes out on Switch, I got to believe Final Fantasy VII Remake will come out eventually for those 2 platforms as well. Yeah, 7 Remake's going to be tough. I would assume they'd do a streaming situation. Oh yeah, streaming, or hey, we got some assets. some assets on the cart, and you're gonna have to download the rest.
They're gonna have to do a lot of work to make that work. Because it's even like it's a little rough on the PlayStation 5 even like or PS4.
Yeah,
it's got a little bit of needs a little bit of polish.
Well, we know if it's going to Xbox, it's just going to be on Games Pass. They're not even going to put out physical.
Probably not.
So the whole thing is going to be a download. So, All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk about the Grammys. I never thought we would be talking about the Grammys. One day we'll be talking about the Oscars too, hopefully. But
now, why? Why are we talking about the Grammys?
Well, because Grammys have now just added a video game soundtrack category, and I'm gonna be honest. I really thought this was already a thing. I don't know why I thought like video game soundtracks was already like a thing in the Grammys, like an award that they just don't show on TV, right?
Nope. Like the technical expertise and sound engineering or whatever, right?
Yeah. So it looks like they're adding a category. It'll be called Best Score Soundtrack for Video Game or Other Interactive.
I'm surprised I never thought about it. Like, why isn't there one? I had the opposite effect. You always thought it was there. I didn't even think like, hey, obviously video game music is amazing, and there's some great artists, composers, a lot of great music that needs to be recognized. So I'm happy that they did it finally. It takes them forever, though. It took them to 1989 to add a Best Metal category, and that's been going on since the 70s. So,
it took a while to add hip hop. Right,
that's right,
to the mix as well.
That's
right.
Right.
I don't know what year that was, but they took them a while to add that.
I want to say it was around the same time, actually. 88, 89, 90, maybe. Yeah.
Well, look at it this way. The Oscars got to have like the best video game actor award or something like that, or portrayal in interactive media.
Sure.
All right. They should have that. They should add that in too. I mean, these people are actors, and they're in the same sort of like the same group, the same union. So that's interesting. But Grammys soundtrack, I thought it'd be sort of cool to go back and say, okay, let's say they retroactively say, you know what, let's give a lifetime achievement, or retroactively give a Grammy to a old video game soundtrack from the past. Right, Dave, you have to pick 3 nominees, 3 video game soundtrack nominees, and retroactively give an award to one of them. What would you pick? What soundtracks would be your 3 nominees, and who would you ultimately pick?
Can't do it. Can't do it. There's way too many to just say 3 and be done with it. You'd have to do 3 a year and retroactively give awards. Yeah,
you would need more than 3 a year. You would need like 20 a year. To
well,
go back to the 80s.
for the classics, right? Because you got to recognize Koji Kondo and his work with the Mario Brothers series and Zelda. You have to recognize Nobuo Uematsu for all the Final Fantasy music. You got to recognize there's a lot of people. You technically got to recognize Tommy Talrico, right? He did a lot of video game stuff.
He did a lot of video games. Yeah.
I'd say some highlights. Fez, amazing soundtrack. I would say Super Mario Brothers as a whole. Hard to pick one particular one. But that
you have to. The category
needs to be recognized.
The category is soundtrack. So it's you'd
have to say Odyssey. Odyssey, I think, is like where it's at. But it's hard. Honestly, I would say give an award to Koji Kondo, Lifetime Achievement Award, and that kind of solves that because then you recognize all of his Mario Brothers work and all the Zelda work and everything else, and you kind of do it in one shot because all those games more or less had great music. Odyssey probably the best of the bunch.
All right. Well, I agree. I agree with Mario Odyssey. One of the best soundtracks. Well, newer soundtracks ever.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Streets
of Rage 2 is also very good. That's got
Streets
a
of
great
Rage
soundtrack.
2. Streets of Rage 2. I like Streets of Rage 1 soundtrack as well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna throw a curveball in there. Double Dragon.
Sure.
Double Dragon, the original.
Amazing.
The original. So I would say Mario Odyssey, Double Dragon, the original. But I would give it to Sonic 2.
Sonic 2 also good. Sonic 3 great. Sonic 1 also
amazing
too. Yeah.
Sonic 2 had an amazing soundtrack to it, and I can listen to that music and it's recognizable. You know what stage that is as soon as you hear that music.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So I would give it to Sonic. One of the best soundtracks, retro soundtracks ever.
So we could be. So this is going to be next year, right? So it would be everything that came out this year would be recognized in award season, right? So
Correct.
they'd be recognizing the music of 2022. I'm gonna say, let's throw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge soundtrack in the mix. Speaking of
good soundtrack.
Speaking of Sonic, T. Lopes, who did the Sonic Mania soundtrack, did most of it. We got Mike Patton, who is an amazing prog rock, metal artist, alternative. He did one of the songs in there. Mega Ran did one of the songs in there. Ghostface Killa?
He did. Well,
did a song in there?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's amazing.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you where that plays, but it's amazing when it kicks in. Yeah, recognize. Put it up on the block this year. I want to see it.
Well, okay, you want to talk about the retro soundtrack? What about Project Gotham Racing?
PGR. Ooh, that's taking me back, Dan. It's taking me back to the 360 days.
Well, I want to take you back to a GQ interview with the studio head of Playground Games, Trevor Williams, where he said he pitched Playground Games taking over PGR series and making it a thing, and apparently Microsoft immediately declined that pitch.
Right.
So I would like to see I forgot that Xbox owns this franchise. It's a dormant franchise that we haven't seen anything since the original Xbox. And I know they have their thing with Horizon, right? You got their mainline Horizon games. You got Motorsport, but I think you could throw like a third game in that mix. I don't understand. It's more of an arcadey racer.
Fifth game in the mix.
Well, third series, not fifth game.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Game.
Third racing series.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
got
got
sort of an arcadey in there.
Yeah,
because look, if you think about it, you think of the original, the Horizon now is more of a driving game than a racing, right? And you have Motorsport, which is more of a racing game, and then you could throw
simulation racing. Yeah. This is like the arcadey Need for Speed version of it with the kudos points and all that, and you're kind of fishtailing around and. Yeah, I mean, it's a good series. I get why Microsoft is like, nah, Forza's the way forward, and we're gonna continue with that. And for good reason. I think it's the same reason why, one of the reasons why Nintendo won't put out another F-Zero game, because they don't want it to compete with Mario Kart, even though they're completely different games. But yeah. So I think Bizarre Creations, if they're still around, they're not going to be doing anything else. Well, I guess like Playground was trying to say like, hey, we'd love to revitalize PGR, and they're like, we want you on Forza. So somebody else would have to do that. They'd have to get another studio in there to do that, because Playground is specifically, well, now they're doing Fable, but Playground is the Forza company and now the Fable company.
Well, then you got, we talked about it where they were pitching to Nintendo about doing an F-Zero game, more of like a realistic F-Zero game, where they said that those pitches were just shut down completely. So
yeah,
I guess it's like these companies aren't experimenting and doing anything different, right? It's just iterating on what's already there instead of taking risks, right?
Yeah.
Ubisoft always used to take risks back in the day, and EA
way back in the day,
way back in the day, and everything's just been so corporate now, which is why I'm not surprised that they've just been, we're seeing the consolidation of the industry, which will make room for more mid-tier,
hopefully,
to come out.
We get some new companies rise up, sure.
Yeah, and take more risks.
Yeah, well, a lot of that comes down to the shareholders, right? Because they have to produce profits year after year, and to go with the stable franchise like a Modern Warfare or God of War or Assassin's Creed or Forza is a safe bet. It's an established franchise, brand recognition. But then you get, here's a new version with a fresh coat of paint, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. I guess. You know what? Bring back Project Gotham Racing. You convinced me, Dan. We need it.
Okay.
We need it.
Now all I got to do is convince you that Super Mario World is the best Super Mario.
Oh, that's just patently wrong. That's certifiably wrong.
Then I'm good.
I can give you charts and graphs.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give you a chart and a graph of our last news story. A study that shows the most popular video game consoles by the state. And I didn't think about this. Like, this is like, whoever thought about this is like incredible. Like, the most, like, what console is most popular in each state? And I'm sure they went by sales numbers. If they, I think they Googled it. Sort of. So PlayStation 5 dominated with 21 states. Not a surprise. Xbox Series X had 19 states, and Nintendo Switch had 10 states. So
now I'm not surprised.
The states itself,
yeah,
is the surprising part.
Right. I'm not surprised by the breakdown. It would make sense. PlayStation, Xbox are similar. It makes sense. PS5 overall because they have more sales technically. Well, Nintendo Switch is pretty high too, but the way that it's broken down, yeah, I wouldn't have been able to guess. I wouldn't have been able to guess.
all the like sort of major states, like New York, Florida, or big popular states, New York, Florida, Texas, California, all PlayStation, PS5 states.
Well, it goes down the coast, down the eastern seaboard.
It does.
Around Florida through Texas, skips over New Mexico. I think that's New Mexico. And then
New Mexico. And
then hits like Nevada, Arizona, and California for PlayStation, more or less. And they're all kind of grouped together in that way. They take the lower part of America.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see sort of the South being mostly dominated by PlayStation.
Yeah,
right? Like Alabama, Mississippi, like all of those are like dominated. New Orleans, all dominated by, Louisiana, Louisiana, all dominated by PlayStation. Like that is like incredible all the way down. Boston.
Sure.
I think the surprising thing for me is Nintendo, right?
Right.
Like Nintendo sort of has Washington State, Oregon.
Yep.
And then you have Maine. Like Maine, why is Maine like a thing for Nintendo? Hawaii is right. The Switch.
Maine,
Hawaii
Vermont,
is dominated by the Switch.
Hawaii, Minnesota, Michigan. Yeah. That's kind of crazy. They're all kind of grouped together. And Utah. Yeah, and Colorado, I think too. Yeah,
Colorado. Like they're a big Switch. There's a joke I can make about Utah. I'm not going to make that joke.
A lot of jokes you can make about Utah. It's probably best you did.
Yeah.
Now,
they have a lot of switches.
What I wish they did, and I don't think it's in this article necessarily, is the numbers per state. I want to see how close the breakdown is, because that'd be kind of interesting too. Because I would assume that some of these states may be neck and neck. Maybe off by 10,000 or 100,000. Who knows? Could be off by 100.
And you get the Midwest dominated by Xbox.
Right.
That's kind of crazy. Like the
Midwest and Rhode Island holding strong.
Yeah, except for Illinois.
Yeah.
Chicago, Illinois is PS5, but like Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Arkansas, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, not Midwest, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Dakota, and Tennessee, all Xbox states.
Right. What would be kind of cool to do too, and I don't think it would be too tough, but compare or overlay different demographics on top of this to see where they align. Democrat, Republican, or whatever else, all these.
There you go, getting political again.
I'm just kind of curious to see if anything kind of overlaps, in a way where you could make a causation for maybe it's because of this or whatever. Well, I don't know. I just think it'd be interesting more than anything. Probably social science.
I think that will all be skewed because New York, California, majority Democratic. When you got Florida, sort of mostly Republican, and then Texas mostly Republican, and then you got. Well,
I'm not saying like that one in particular,
Republican.
but it'd be interesting to see like different types of like here's this breakdown by state,
So, but yeah. All right, Dave, that's it for the news. It's that time. It's a time of year. We do it once a year in the half year where we go over our game of the half year. Now the only thing is you have to pick at least two games. What do you think? Like, I know there was one year where I had like 5 games.
Yeah.
We were sort of the beginning of the year was like sort of like stacked. I don't think it's that's stacked this year.
No,
I don't think it's that stacked this year. But I have 3 games on my list. Dave, tell me the games that you have on your list.
Well,
what are your games that I have?
I have 2 on my list, and I'll go ahead and run through those. I didn't play a lot of new games that are out this year, so it made it a little bit tough. But I did pick 2 that are high on my list. And that first one is a game we talked about earlier in the show. And that's TMNT Shredder's Revenge. It is amazing.
Makes sense. You played enough of it. You beat it. So
I did.
You can talk about it.
I did. Yeah. I got enough. I mean, I played it at PAX, the demo of it, which was pretty much the complete version. I mean, it plays exactly the same as it did in the demo, which was A+, 100% top tier, 5 out of 5 masterpiece. Very good. The fan service in there, amazing. Everything. We talked about the soundtrack a little bit ago. Amazing. Pixel art is good. Will it hold up till the end of the year? Don't know, but it is definitely in the mix. It's a strong contender. And my other pick, which may not be surprising to anybody, is Elden Ring.
Oh my God!
Elden Ring.
I knew you were gonna do this.
What do you mean? Oh my God! It's getting 10 out of 10s across the board, Dan. Right? You haven't even played it yet. You can't actually give an opinion of it.
Everybody's brainwashed. I'm sorry. I'm gonna.
Wow.
Play it.
Okay.
Play it.
Everybody's brainwashed. Everybody's brainwashed. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Everybody's brainwashed. I'm sorry. Bloodborne got a 10 out of 10. Not game of the year. I'm sorry. And any of these games, not game.
Well, I mean, a lot of outlets did give it to Bloodborne that year, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, brainwashed.
Okay, so what are your top 3, Dad?
Before I get into my top 3, I'm gonna get some notable mentions.
Oh boy.
Okay. We got Tunic, which you haven't played, and I think if you
that is on Games Pass. Got to give it a.
I think if you played it, you would give it a little bit. I think you would have given it a little bit of love, maybe even nominated it. Who knows?
Possibly,
but
yeah.
Tunic is an honorable mention. I'm gonna say King of Fighters 15. Thought was great.
Sure.
I definitely want to play more of that. And the Quarry, I can't put it on my list only because I haven't played enough of it. I've only played through the prologue in chapter 1. I just picked it up, so I got to play. Maybe if I play more, it would have been added to my list of the half game year. But we'll see if it's one of my 5 nominees for game of the year at the end of the year. But I'm gonna start. I got 3 games. I'm gonna pick Sifu. I have the Vengeance Edition. Unlike Elden Ring and Bloodborne and games of that ilk, they patched in an easy version, which they should.
Yeah, we talked about that, and that's fantastic.
All right.
I support them in doing that 100%.
I think Sifu is super interesting. Where it's like it's a modern brawler game, kind of 3D brawler game, where if you die, you age, right? And your age gives you more experience. You're a better fighter, but you are a little slower because especially if you die a couple of times, you get even older. So, and I think that's sort of like an interesting tidbit. The visuals could be a little bit better in my view, right? I would like to see a Sifu 2 and look a lot better. And maybe add some more RPG elements where I can level up my character a little bit better. I don't know if I like the level up system in Sifu. That's just my opinion. I definitely want to play more of it. I would like to try to beat it. Going through the characters. I mean, the boss battles are tough. Like you really have to know. You have to master blocking and moving out of the way.
Oh, so you're saying it's just like Bloodborne and Elden Ring?
Nope, not saying that because screw a boss. just a regular minion could kill you out the gate.
If you're not good, a regular minion can kill you, but they're not difficult.
Yeah, brutally hard. Yeah. How about you know what? No, it's not like Bloodborne. You know why? Because they patched an easy version into it, which they should do.
That's baby game for babies. That's fine.
Yeah. Well, talk about games that people thought would be for babies that aren't really for babies. My second nominee, my second pick would be Kirby and the Forgotten Land. This game is fantastic. On this game.
Yeah.
The visuals, it's not a complete open world game, right? It's it did for Kirby what not Super Mario Land or Super Mario 3D World for the Wii U. Right, think of that. That's what this is. That's what this game is doing for the Kirby series. I think the different levels are interesting. The power ups are still the power ups. Nothing. I mean, the car you can swallow a car and go
ride around as a car.
With a vehicle. I think the new power ups are awesome. The visuals are awesome. Nobody cares about the story in Kirby games, even though there is a story. Yeah, there is a story to be told here, and I think it's okay. I like the overworld. And they do something that we haven't seen since the original Zelda game. Once you beat it, there's a dark side to it, and you can play all the levels you beat again. You know, your levels you already beat. They have like a dark twist to them, right? So you could do that, and the game is already. I want to say you could beat it in less than 10 hours. So you have another, 7 hours of playthrough if you want to beat the dark side. So almost 20 hours. If you want to collect everything.
Nice.
So I think Kirby, people are sleeping on Kirby. I think Kirby is a fantastic game. But my number one pick, I have to give it to Horizon Forbidden West.
Oh, yeah. You were pretty hype on this game.
I'm pretty hype on this game.
Hype on the first one, funny enough, but part two.
We are both not hype on the first one. I think the story is a lot better. I think, they tighten the mechanics, and you can fly a dinosaur. You can fly.
Nice.
Pterodactyl or something, You can jump on a pterodactyl. And I mean, you don't get that until a little bit later in the game because it makes it easier to traverse around the world instead of, it's just...
Is there air combat or no?
If there is, I haven't experienced it.
Okay.
Well, no. It's air combat in the sense of when you go down and as you go down, they will try to attack you.
Sure, but there's no pterodactyl on pterodactyl dogfighting.
I haven't experienced that. I don't know if they do have that.
They gotta have that in the DLC.
You know why? Once I beat the game, I don't really go back. Right? Like I don't go back and I don't try to unlock everything. I want sometimes I want to and I just don't have time. Right? Like once I beat it, I want the next thing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and then it goes back to what your ultimate saying is about these games. They're just so big and we have these small hard drives and I want to play another game.
Exactly. You got to take it off.
I got to take it off.
You got to make that sacrifice.
So it makes it harder to go back where it's like, I have to go reinstall it. No, I don't want to do that. So I would give it to Horizon Forbidden West. And that would be my game.
Nice. All right. Well, there you go.
So, all right, Dave, it's Juneteenth weekend. It's the first time Juneteenth has been an official holiday. It's the first time I don't actually have to take a sick day because I've always sort of celebrated Juneteenth. Get any cool extended weekend plans?
I don't have any Juneteenth plans per se. Recognize the day, understand what it is. Have a little kind of moment of that for sure. I got a birthday party later today. And then tomorrow is Father's Day and my dad's birthday, so it's a twofer. So gotta go home, spend some time with the family. They've been kind of itching to see me, so got to be the good son and go home. I live close enough to do that, so I'm gonna do that and get some nice pool time. So very excited. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I Father's Day has always been not a great time for me. I don't know if I talked about it in the show. My father actually passed away on Father's Day. So Father's Day has never been a day that I want to celebrate or anything. I guess until I'm an actual father, then Father's Day would mean
right. It'll have new meaning or additional meaning.
It'll have new meaning. Yeah. But I will be sort of, going out, hanging out. No beach, not going to the beach, but just going out, hanging out, having some drinks later tonight, and probably just chill and play some games tomorrow.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I could try to beat Assassin's Creed 3, and
big game.
play some retro games for Saturday morning retro.
That's coming up soon, actually. So
yeah.
Take a look out for that. It's going to be a good episode, like always, but it's going to be a really good episode this time. So that's it. That's episode 321 of the books, folks. And I want to thank you guys for listening to the show, for liking, commenting, doing all the good stuff that you guys do. If you want to interact with us, and we know that you do, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. Also, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. You can check out all of the fine podcasts featured on there at gamingpodcastalliance.com if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
keep gaming.